Greetings, everyone. I'm Karishma Besht, and I'll be giving the PowerPoint presentation on the topic Cultivation of Own Garden with Primitive Behavioral Adaptation in Lakshmi Persaud's novel Daughters of Empire. So, without further ado, let's quickly begin. But before I tell you the chief components of my paper, it is important for you to just have a brief overview of what hybridity is actually about. We often say, don't judge the book by its cover. But for this case, I want you to judge the book by its cover. If you look into the background of this novel, you notice that there is a very interesting design in front of you. This is a patchwork. The beauty of a patchwork lies in the combination of different fabrics together. And this blending of the two fabrics, different colors, actually gives a true definition to a design. This is hybridity. And in most diasporic novels, you notice that hybridity has been the chief component of debate. The essence that I'll be focusing on in this paper is how is hybrid identity formed for immigrants? And in particularly, my chief area of concern is in the novels that are focusing on women-centric perspective. How do women really shape themselves? Men are able to do it easily because they have their jobs and everything. But what about the women who really have to start from the scratch? They do not have any kind of professional job with which they can really cope up with. They have to take care of the domestic spheres. They have to really break their home bonds that they already had. So how do they really shape themselves? How do they make that intricate hybrid identity for themselves? If you notice most of the novels, like for instance, the novels such as written by Bharati Mukherjee, or the one that I am discussing about, you'll notice that nature holds a very key phenomenon in shaping a woman's identity. Why is that? Because nature, like women, represents a peripheral role in the anthropogenic society. Man is the dominant center, and women represents a peripheral role, which is the reason why the combination of two things together form a hybrid identity. Nature guides and directs women in understanding the social ethos in a better and wholesome way. But the question really is, even if the combination is with these two people together, who is initiating the process? How is the hybrid identity really taking shape? What is the catalyst over here? This catalyst can be understood through the behavioral psychology that is going to help to connect women with the nature. This is important because behavioral adaptation with primitive techniques allows us to reconnect with our individual selves, just as our forefathers did in close proximity with nature. Let's not forget, eco-criticisms actually initiated in its first wave in the 1990s, where critics were mainly focusing on the aspect where romantics were really analyzed. Writers like Wordsworth, who were always going back to their primitive source of inspiration, back to their hometown in order to understand what they really wanted in life. What was their creative inspiration? Nature. And this is what women can actually do, even in this cosmopolitan world that we are living in today. In this novel, the analysis of this primitive ideology can be done by what our forefathers have always been following, is the technique of agriculture, where our main focus always lies in the last product, which is the process of harvesting. Hence, in this behavioral adaptation, the four discourses that an individual has to carry out would include the first discourse being plowing, the second would be sowing, the third would be weeding, and finally, harvesting. All these three different techniques, in fact, all the four techniques altogether, will help you to understand what exactly happens in the shaping of a complete hybrid identity. This representation of plowing, sowing, weeding, and harvesting has been represented in 4 generations, where each generation is showing a dominant characteristic of representing that discourse in its best form, because they have been adapted. They know how they have to really channelize their energy, how they have to adjust with the issues going around them. The first aspect of plowing can be noticed in the female protagonist, that is the mother in the novel, who is exploring the things around. And that carries on with the other 3 daughters that she has. So what you noticed here is that psychological maturity develops in every generation with ecological bonding. They understand because they understand and correlate with the demands of the nature. Nature has been through a lot. Whenever you're in a trouble, you always try to take inspiration from things that help you in understanding the social ethos around you. When you're in trouble, you go to your friend and you take and discuss about the issues that you're really facing and how you can overcome those issues. Nature, similarly, is the guiding friend here, which is helping these women to evolve with every coming age. So the plowing, that is the first stage or the first discourse, helps you in understanding the foreign topography that helps to guide through the sociological ideology of the foreign social ethos. It's like a traveler coming to a very new place. What do? You explore the area. You do not keep any prejudice. You just try to understand and seep in all that comes in front of you by understanding the actual vegetation of that place. This is what the female protagonist does. She tries to understand every vegetation around her and tries to adapt to it, which is how plowing can actually take shape in its initial stages. The second being sowing. This is obviously to be noticed when you are actually starting your own first practice of harvesting, which can be done through your own produce. You have to find your own seeds. For a parent, that metaphorical seed is his progeny. So, in the process of sowing, the focus is mainly on the adaptation phenomenon, where you're gaining insight of the binary side of the social ethos through experience. More than a parent, it is the child who is going to gain experience about the situations happening around. He would get to interact with people of the same temperament and get to know more than what the parents did actually get to know about. And this is how sowing is basically a very influential factor where you are actually getting to know both sides of the world, the good side and the bad side, which can only happen if you try to understand the binary world, which starts from the very childhood of an individual. And this is what you get to see in the sowing discourse. The third discourse is the weeding discourse. Weeding, a simple process where in order to facilitate the growth of the plant, you try to take out the plants that are not facilitating its growth or acting like a kind of hindrance in its growth. Similarly, in the discourse of weeding, the process of segregation is taking place, where you are actually removing the outdated ideologies that are incompatible with the social ethos. This is noticed in kids. Today, if somebody tells you wear a sari when you're going for a birthday, nobody is going to really go with that talk. Let me tell you this. Most of us would like to dress up in Western dress because everybody is doing that. And it's no harm in that because there's no harm in that because this is something that we need to get adjusted to. We don't want to be the odd one out. So weeding is important in order to feel like a part of that social ethos. You really need to segregate a few things that are hindering your growth so that you are not always pinpointed for no rhyme or reason. The last process is the process of harvesting, which is the process of assimilation. Here, the emphasis is on the ideological beliefs over cultural beliefs. Look into the image in front of you. Both the figures are public figures of today, Nick Jonas and Priyanka Chopra. Both of them come from a very different cultural background, yet they had their ceremonies conducted in both the process. The Western way, where Priyanka Chopra was well known for her long veil that she carried with her, and also the Indian wedding that happened simultaneously immediately after the Western wedding. So, what does this tell you? That it is possible to have both cultural representation together. We should not really be rigid about our beliefs, because in a multicultural ethos, you really need to respect every culture for what it is. And this can be facilitated only when we are willing to accept the ideological factor in terms of compatibility more than in context to cultural aspects. Because that is how we can make a fitter world, a better world, where everybody can have a place for themselves by just cross blending. Hence, this culminates in the cultivation of one's own garden. I've been inspired by the title from the work written by Voltaire, that is Candide. And the work idealizes the philosophy of self-endeavor rather than surrendering on the course of events. So it's never que sera sera as Madhuri Dixit dances to. It's always about the concept of carpe diem. You always seize the moment, friends. You always seize the moment. So put your endeavor if you really want to do something beneficial and adjust to a new climate. That's all for my presentation. Thank you.